Hey, live on Pat's Soundbytes Unplugged podcast in conjunction with WBXO Classic Rock Radio Redefined. You know what I do, keeping the music alive, man. That's what I do. And every episode is a killer. I got a great band out of Las Vegas, Crashing Wayward. Look at this pretty cool cover here. And you know my deal. I'm going to play the video and for the song called Breathe. And I got Stacey Blades and I got Pete Summit on the On Deck Circle. And we're going to talk to them about this great band, what they're up to, talk about their music and everything. You know how it goes. So sit back, crank it up. And of course, when I play the video, you follow these guys, hit the subscribe button, share it, hit the like button, as well as do that for myself, because today it's all about analytics, you know. So we're trying to spread the word around and support one another. So time to rock a little Crazing Wayward, and then you know exactly what we're talking about. Where's my man Stacey and Peter? There's Stacey, there's Pete. How are you guys?
How's it going, Pat? Good to be here.
We are breathing, and we are breathing well. Man, I want to hear more. I'm like, holy crap. Come on, you got to lay out the whole album. I'm like, holy shit. I'm in a crazy mood today. Nice meeting you, gentlemen. Man, great track. Crashing Wayward, the name of the band. Stacey on this side over here somewhere is a guitar player, and down below is Pete, is a killer vocalist here. Where do I even begin? Well, you know what I always do, guys, is I always ask, how did you find your love for music? So I'll ask you first, Stacey. Was it mom, dad, your first concert? Where did you say, I need to pick up a guitar and I need to do this? Go ahead, Stacey.
Yeah, I come from a family of piano players, so
there you go.
Yeah, that's kind of how I got my start. Started playing piano when I was 9, actually. So I took lessons quite heavily for 2 years, from ages 9 to 11. I got really good on piano. By that second year, I was able to buy music books and be playing, with both hands and flip the page. And I was like, whoa, I just did that. So I think that moment really spoke to me. And then when I was 11, that Christmas, my parents got me this little acoustic guitar. And I just remember picking it up. It's like Pete Townsend.
Pete Townsend.
And it really never left my hands. So I started taking lessons that following year. And I think from all the piano training, I got really good on guitar quickly because my ear was already well developed. And then it just became obsession. So by the time I was 15, my parents were like going, oh,
Well, at least it's a guitar and not a drum kit, right? You could have been bashing the crap out of it.
So started playing, in bands when I was like 17. I started playing bar circuit, and that was in Toronto. I grew up in Toronto.
Okay.
And, so then I got, I always wanted to live in America and, pursue my career in America. I saw a lot of the bands that we played in the same circuit, or bands that were for me that, got big records deals and never really did anything in the States. A handful of them did, but so it was a defining moment. I said, if I'm going to have a longevity, I've got to get to it. So I was very fortunate to, when I was in my early 20s, join a band that was on Virgin Records. So I moved to Florida. They were based in Florida. And then after 8 years of that, I moved to LA. And, my career really took off from there. So been very blessed to have made a lot of great records and toured the world.
Excellent. Pretty cool.
My journey, so to speak.
Yeah, no, it's all good. All right, Pete, you're up, brother.
Well, my story isn't as cool as Stacey's, but
it's close.
Very close. Yeah, I grew up obviously with having older siblings. Their music always playing, and the birth of MTV really kind of launched my path into wanting to be a performer, really, and just kind of seeing the amount of music that I grew up with. Going back from when my dad's actually a Bronx kid, so he grew up.
Yeah.
So he would go to the Apollo. He would see Stevie Wonder perform. He was in a doo-wop group, performing on street corners. So he was always singing. So, fast forward a little bit, I grew up with the Beatles, and then just like MTV as a young kid, just that impression. And for me, what probably changed my life was, it's funny, Duran Duran, seeing how cool those guys were, their sound, it just made me want to be that cool, so. But my brother, going back to my siblings, just kind of and what they were listening to, my brother, we shared a room, and he dropped the needle one night when I was trying to go to sleep, and it was the Cult Electric. And just that Wildflower, just the start of that, I mean, the back of my neck, the hairs would stand up. And from then it was just kind of a love into good, just driving rock like that. And but I really hold on to my early youth, new wave, early post-punk kind of stuff has been a big influence for me. So again, always being attracted to frontmen. That's what I kind of really want to do, and just holding on to the singing roots that my dad had, kind of bestowed upon me. That's kind of where I'm at today, and that's why I wanted to be a frontman. I just wanted to be a cool frontman.
Well, you definitely got the coolness, and you definitely got the frontman.
Yeah, he's pulling it off pretty good.
And you're going to keep him, right, Stacey?
Yeah, I think he's passed the test.
Yeah,
I think so too. He's got some. I mean, you got some range, Pete. I mean, it's all.
I appreciate it.
It's all good stuff. I'm laughing to myself. Stacey talking about the piano, and during COVID, I'm like, I gotta. That's the only thing I'm not. I'm not a musician that I can relate to everybody. I think I did Smoke on the Water with a guitar, just the first couple of chords, just to figure that out. But I took piano lessons with a group, and this lady blew right by me. I was lucky. I think I could do When the Saints Come Marching In with like da, 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 da. But
one finger.
Yeah, one finger exactly. But it's like anything else. The more practice, the more. How bad do you? I always tell my kids, how bad do you want it? If I want to be a piano player, really learn or grab a guitar. It's just putting in the hard work and the effort.
24/7, yeah.
Yeah, pretty cool. Where did you guys, how did you meet Pete? How did you meet Stacey?
Well, Stacey and I, funny thing, we actually go back to his early Hollywood days, really, right?
Yeah,
2002.
2001 or 2, yep.
Yeah. Stacey was, at that time, he was kind of like leading a new resurgence in rock in LA, Hollywood at that time. It was when rock was kind of getting back on the scene, and it was
Cool.
a lot of really good like street rock, kind of almost like punk influences, early Stooges,
Yeah.
you know, stuff like that. And I was in a band that was in San Diego, and we ended up coming and playing in LA. And long story short, just knew each other from, because I was in a rock band and there weren't too many at that time.
Yeah. We had a couple mutual friends. Yeah. So that's how Pete and I got to know each other. But then we lost touch around 2007 or so. And then when this band imploded, I was trying to piece it back together, the only guy from it. And Pete just grew, grace of God fell back into my life. And I didn't make the connection at first. It's through a mutual friend of Pete's. And when it dawned on me that it was Pete, I was like, oh, things are going to be okay. So that's kind of how it started. And then everybody else just kind of was a godsend, Pat, Dave and Carl and Sean, it just all came into my world. And it was just instant chemistry. It's undeniable. So it was a real gift,
I always say there's no such thing as a coincidence.
No,
and
it all
timing
happened
is
for
everything.
a reason. Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. Right when you think, can it get any worse? How's this going to work? And then all of a sudden the phone rings. Or, Facebook, I ran into an old friend I haven't talked to in 100 years, and he found me, posting, in the music stuff. And he goes, is that you? And I'm like, yeah, man, it's always what I wanted to do. Even though I had a career in emergency services, I still always hung on to the music end. And that's awesome. That's cool. Where did where did the name come from?
Because we had actually done 2 gigs as Electric Radio Kings, and we played the Viper Room right before COVID hit. And so we were like, well, we're going to be off for the rest of the year. So Pete was just like, it's time to let go of the life raft days of that band. And we need to change the name. And I was like, yeah, you're absolutely right. So we started bouncing names around, and it just kind of came to me. It's like, what do you think of Crashing Wayward? And Pete was just like, that's it. It's like, it's not up for discussion. That's the name of the band.
Yeah. In hindsight, I probably would have done it a little different, but I thought I was trying to avoid just trying to name a band is probably one of the worst things imaginable. It's just like contrived and cliche names tossed here and there. So when he said Crashing Wayward, that to me, it captured everything that we were. We're pushing forward. We're, kind of like unpredictable. And it had that kind of like alternative edge, which we really like to grasp and hold on to as well.
So I like it. It's like in your face, crashing. We're knocking the walls down and we're moving forward. And it does have that alternative. I hear a lot of Stone Temple Pilots with Breathe. Absolutely. I hear a lot of Alice in Chains, but I do hear a little like Motley Crue, a little something in there, a little Metallica. So I think it's great. I think it really matches your sound, even though I'm thinking I'm on to the right trend mentioning those bands. Am I correct with that?
Right.
I will.
Mixture of everything. Well, I was going to say, people probably say the same thing. It's, there's 5 different influences with each guy in this band. But we wanted to capture something that was new and modern, but familiar and retro. So it's like everybody's influences kind of show. Pete and I are very influenced by early 80s new wave. So you've got that early U2 type of thing. In their Duran, especially with the beginning, if you listen to Breathe with that, the part that David's playing, that that's very, very early U2. But at the same time, it's like, I'm a huge Stone Temple Pilots fan, and that band was a big influence on me. So that comes out of my writing. But, Carl comes from more of a punk background. And, Sean's just kind of straight rock, 70s rock, and as is Dave, but Dave's in a lot of new stuff too, is younger than us. And then Pete just brings in all his, everything from Brian Ferry to, Scott Weiland to Ian Astbury to, you
Freddie Mercury.
Freddie Mercury.
Freddie Mercury. But I will say Michael Jackson's probably one of my all-time greatest favorite performers. And I do pull a lot, especially just from my stage performance. It was was a huge impression on me. And again, I think that's what makes us really cool. We are a rock band. We're an alternative, modern, hard rock band, but we love all music. Like Stacey will pull out some obscure Canadian band. I'm all, who the hell is this? It sounds like Psychedelic Furs, It's
yeah.
But I think that's what makes us, that's what makes us unique and what comes together and why we're
really does, yeah. That's pretty much it in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's what builds the band. 5 different influences that come from different. I mean, and you're not like labeled into one genre, like we're grunge. No, you can go any boundary you want. There are no more boundaries. I mean, when I see Post Malone putting an album with Ozzy Osbourne, I'm like, well, bets are off. I mean, that's what got me into the new music and got me into doing whatever. If I want to play a blues track with Stevie Ray, I'm going to play a blues track. I'm not controlled by anybody but myself. And there's so much great new music out there. And I think you guys are definitely crashing the walls down. I wanted to hear more. I mean, I played Breathe 100 times. I got it almost memorized, but I'm like, wow, this is an in your face. People are going to really get into it. And, I think you guys are onto something.
And an interesting thing about that, Pat, is that song Carl brought in, and he'd been sitting on it for 10 years.
Wow.
And it was in a different key, and it was kind of punk. And, our producer, Mike Gillies, who has worked with, he was Metallica's studio engineer since the Load record up to Hardwired to Detonate. But he's also worked with Bryan Adams, Shania Twain, Our Lady Peace.
Yeah, so he's polished. I mean, come on.
Yeah, a little bit.
He did the Cult. He worked on the Cult.
Too.
Beyond Good and Evil. Yeah.
But he was like, what do you guys think about changing the key? So we were like, so my first thing was like, okay, let's drop D in it. And so we started transposing it, and all of these things came together, and he radically changed Pete, your vocal line. And all of a sudden it was just like this, we were building this Frankenstein from this framework of just this kind of straight ahead kind of punk rock song in G sharp. And we were all like, wow, man, this is really, really coming together. And it's cool because it's like, it's got so many different sounds, and you can play that song with 10 different people and you'll get 10 different answers.
Oh yeah.
What do they think it sounds like? So when we started seeing that as we released the video and different mix of that last year, it was interesting to see the reaction of that. So that's kind of where our album is like, it's got so many different sounds and not one song sounds like the other. So that's, I know everybody else feels, but that's my excitement, is this just huge canvas of different styles and sounds.
And Pete, you I mean, the minute you start playing that, as Stacey was just describing, with Mike's ideas, you look at each other and you start pinching yourself going, there's something here. I mean, a different set of eyes and a different set of ears going, let's just try this. And all of a sudden, the recipe and the entree is growing and it's like ready to take off, rockets ready to take off. And you go, holy shit, man, we got something here. And
Pete's vocals are just crushing on us.
I was gonna say, dude, where did that come from? Oh my God, did you take vocal lessons?
No, never took vocal lessons, and you know what? I honestly feel like I've been a late bloomer musically. When I started getting into bands, I was, in my early 20s. So I wasn't playing in bands in high school. I wasn't, developing my chops early on. So I always felt like I was a late bloomer, and where I'm at right now in my life, it's, without trying to sound cliche, it's like I know myself now. I know where I can go. I know what I like and what I want to hear, and that's kind of where I'm at right now. I don't drink a lot. I mean, I have a long drink every once in a while with my friend Stacey, and I don't smoke, and I just try to take care of myself. And so that's how I kind of go about my voice regimen. But that with Breathe, going back to when Carl, he had that song sitting for about 10 years, and I probably had a lot pent up in me, and I wanted to really impress him that, okay, it's been 10 years. And he even said that I think he's given it to other people to try to write and write with, and nothing really stood out to him. So I said, it's going to be this band. And so that's where kind of Breathe came from. But again, on this album, working with Mike Gillies, he really knows my voice. We pushed where I can go, and kind of just like believed in me. And yeah, so I think that we really laid down some really awesome stuff in this album that I can't wait for you to hear.
Yeah, you covered a lot there.
Yeah,
Mike, I mean, a guy with his resume, always looking to expand, and things that he brought you to that you never thought you had, that you go, holy shit, man, I'm like, try it this way, try it that way. And then, you're always, you're looking for somebody like that, and, that's got the resume and wants to bring out the best in you that you never even tried or handled. Yeah, no, that's cool.
right.
And the vocals. I mean, I've been blessed to hang out with Mark Slaughter and Paul Rogers and Glenn Hughes, and I always ask them,
Yeah.
I mean, how do you do it? I mean, Paul Rogers, Velvet. I'm like, dude, and every one of them would say, hydration. I don't know if you can see my bottle of water.
Yeah.
Lots of sleep. And no smoking, none of that. I mean, I remember Mark telling me it's worse on the vocals talking than it is singing. He goes, I could do 3 interviews, but I couldn't go into the studio or do a show. When I do a show, the meet and greet's like, hi, bye, because it's your instrument. I mean, that's
right.
For years as a fan growing up, go to all these rock shows, seeing Kiss in '77, all that crap. I'm a fan, and now getting into the music business for the last whatever, now I have a better understanding of like, wow, this is your job, and this is what you need to do to make it work. Right. And one more thing, Pete, I want to talk about, you got to make that song, you got to sell it live as the vocalist, as the front guy. And it's a challenge, when you didn't write it, but when you just said, I took it all in and we're going to make it, I'm going to make it work. Well, you certainly sell it, and it comes across really good on the video. So doing it live, I'm sure you just are on your game and really coming across with it.
Yeah, it's been a crowd pleaser for sure right now.
Yeah,
so
it's a show closer, and Pete usually goes into the audience during it, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, that's what the performer does, right? Nowadays, you're doing selfies. You're all over the place. I mean, being on stage is great, but I mean, you gotta go out there a little bit more, and that's what people loved. I mean, God, yeah, absolutely. Well, that's cool. I'm happy. I always say to everybody, it's about the stories. I try to think of the questions that the people don't understand. I always say how hard it is for a vocalist that didn't write the song, but you got to sell it. Stacey writes the song, and you're like, okay, I'll see what I can do with it. But for the most part, Stacey, right? You give it to Pete. All of you saying, put Pete into it, but keep it where it needs to be, right? For the most part, Stacey.
Well, Pete has very great lyricist and has this fantastic sense of melody, which comes from his influences. We have, 4 very strong writers in this band, and everybody comes up with all kinds of different stuff, and then we just kind of do our thing together. We don't usually get in a room and like hash out. It's usually we have a great format of somebody's got an idea, or maybe Pete and I'll have a whole thing finished, and then it'll get chopped up, and then Dave will add his parts, or vice versa. So that works real well for us. In fact, we were just last week, we just wrote a new song. That was kind of the first time we did that on the fly. But it's a very cool thing that's like, it's not just one guy writing all. And this is how the song goes. We're very open to, trying different things or trying a different arrangement. And then, we hand it over to Mike and then it all gets changed again.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's where the magic happens, right? When you get everybody together and somebody says, try this, try that. Because if you weren't open-minded, it wouldn't work. You know that. You've been,
right.
This ain't your first rodeo for both of you. So, yeah, no, it's got to be open-minded and try it out and see where it goes. And you know it. You just have to, I'm sure you have that feeling going, there's something here, or else we're wasting time.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Definitely. And I think what's really cool too, to add on to what Stacey said, having 4 songwriters in this band. Stacey is capable of writing lyrics and melody. Dave is capable of writing lyrics and melody. Carl is capable of writing lyrics and melody, but that they give me music and they allow me to just be my voice and melody. It's a unit. We're a unit, and it's like, this is the greatest band I've been in. It's been the most democratic. It's, and I've said this a few times, but we're here because we love to do it. We're musicians, and that's why we're in a band together. Because I genuinely love every guy in this band. And yes, we do have our disagreements here and there, but at the end of the day, we're here for one purpose, and that's to write and perform the best songs to our capability.
Right. And do what you love. And
I might have got in tear with that one.
Well, I seen you sign with RFK Media, the metal cowboy, my good friend, Mr. Ron Keel. How cool is that?
Yeah, it's awesome.
Stacey, talk to me about this move.
Well, we had kind of done a pre-release on, it was the first single and video, and then we did Disco Kills, which was a second single and video, and then we kind of put out Stranger Days, but we didn't put it out officially, and Ron heard that song, and he was just blown away. He quote unquote, he said, "You wrecked my day with that song." He goes, "I must have played it 20 times in a row." And he said, "That is one of the best songs I've heard over the last 20 plus years." So we were like, wow. So his enthusiasm really came across, and Sean's known Ron for a long time. I've known him for a long time. I said, that's a guy that will stop at nothing and work his tail to the bone for us. And we could have signed with, we could have really went down a wormhole of talking to a million different labels. And we just kind of thought that, what? Ron loves the band, and he will do anything he possibly can for us. That appealed to us, as opposed to, say, signing with a bigger label and getting half the push that Ron and his staff at RFK Media will do for us.
Yeah, and he gets it, and he comes from it. You want to talk about a hard worker? I think I talked to Ron maybe 2 months ago, and I go, dude, I got a radio, I got a podcast. How the hell are you doing all of this? Touring, writing,
as a machine.
Got the radio show. Now he's in the management and every other thing. You want to talk about a hard worker and a great guy. And like you said, he gets it. And he's going to take you guys like a piece of the family. Not to say other people won't, but you're not going to get lost in the shuffle. I think with Ron. So yeah, a great choice and a super guy, man. I love Ron.
Honest guy too. Yeah, absolutely.
So, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Pete. Were you going to say something?
Oh no, I'm just I've just gotten to know Ron, and he is, of course, knowing from Stacey and Sean's relationship with him before. That's where I wanted to be as a musician. I didn't want to be a huge label. Awesome. That's great. But, potentially getting shelved, not being a priority. I've always wanted to be with somebody or a label that believed in what we are capable of doing and to just give it their all. And so I feel blessed to be with Ron, and obviously he has an incredible track record, and if anybody can do it, he can. So
he's definitely going to go all balls to the wall and do it.
Yeah.
I know when I talked to him, he was excited, and he just says, I can't tell you, I got folks that I'm looking at to sign, and you see the excitement in his voice, and like he's just really like
when the guy
wound
your
up
label
about it.
calls you a stadium act, it's like, okay, I think.
yeah.
Well,
when he said that, I was blown away. Like nobody's ever said that about it. Yeah.
Well, the
Even
debut
big fan, I was in.
Breathe is the debut single on RFK Media, which is actually available tomorrow, the 16th, on iTunes and Spotify and all major distribution platforms. Boy, it is one hell of a song to kick out. And I'm looking forward to throwing it on our rotation for quite some time and wait for that. Any idea that you can share, guys, when you think the album will be completed and possibly released? And is there a thought of a follow-up to Breathe, just like throwing a little bit out and keeping folks like myself interested without throwing a whole album out there? I think that's more of a trend I see anymore, is wait 2 months, throw a single, throw another video out, another 2 months, so people are still engaged and excited.
Right.
And then when you go on tour, they know everything. Go ahead, Pete.
I was going to say we're kind of running into the problem that every song is sounding so damn good that we just don't know which one is going to be next. We've put out Disco Kills last year. We did tease Stranger Days for a bit, which is what got us signed. There's just so many good songs, so it's still in discussion. We did wrap up the album art, so that's underway, and we're starting getting the mastering all handled in. So Stacey, what are we thinking? Maybe
I would probably say end of February they're targeting for release, and that's so it'll be digital, CD, and the label's talking about doing a run of vinyl too. That probably summer, but that's exciting too.
Yeah.
And I know you guys are on all the socials, crashingwayward.com, RFK Media. You can go to Ron's site, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, even TikTok. Come on, any of you guys dancing for 30 seconds? And
no.
Good answer. Stacey, before I let you go, I always get hit up. I don't ask enough gear questions, and we beat Pete to death with his vocals. So what's your go-to guitar? Talk to me about your what your pedal board is, or anything of that nature.
Sure. Yeah, my pleasure. I usually go between, for guitar wise, either Gibson Les Pauls or Telecasters. Friend of mine, actually a guitar player that was in Electric Radio Kings with me, Keith Horn. He has a fantastic boutique guitar company called Marvin Guitars, and he just built me this fantastic Telecaster. So I've been using that a lot, and I usually go between those two guitars. I've played lots of different guitars over the years, but that's pretty much a standard with this band is Les Paul or Telecaster. As far as rig goes, usually when I can play two heads run stereo. My pedal board is a digital delay with a stereo chorus, and then so I usually split the two heads with the stereo chorus pedal, and then I run those through the effects loop, and then I run a super chorus, but I kind of use that almost like a tremolo vibrato pedal for certain sounds at times, and then I run after that a overdrive and then a tuner, and that's my rig setup.
I got a great buddy of mine. He's the inventor, owner of Go Tuners. So if you need if you need a great tuner, and I have one somewhere around my office that, well, it's so, I don't want to say big, but it's for old, I guess, guys like me, that green is good and red is not, and the font of the note is really large. So you go to a show and a guy's like talking and he's trying to, you see it, right? You could either put it on the neck or put it on the floor and you see it right away, whether you're in tune or not. So let me know if you need me to hook you up with that. I can certainly do that for you guys.
All right, very cool.
Anything else I can help promote?
Socials, we covered the album. What else, Stacey? What else is there?
Just the YouTube channel.
We do. Keelfest 2.
Oh, Keelfest 2. Yes.
Rockin' Podcast, Nashville, Tennessee, March 17th and 18th.
There you go.
We're going to be out there with Keel, Steeler. Yeah, the 5th. So that's going to be amazing. That's going to be at Bowie's in Nashville. Can't wait for that. So tickets are on sale right now, rfkmedia.com.
There you go. Go get it today. Yeah. Ron would be happy. Gentlemen, it's a pleasure to meet you both. I am going to crank it real loud and get everybody in the world. Go check out these guys. This is the real deal. Crashing Wayward. As I mentioned before, go to their website. Can you buy the, well, you can go tomorrow, the 16th Friday, go to Spotify, go to iTunes and all that. But when the album comes out, please buy the album. So when you see Stacey and Peter, they can sign it. You can't sign Spotify. Right. That's what I always say. I'm like, I got to have the real, I'm a dinosaur. I got to have the real deal. I want to open it up, see the liner, see the pictures. Who thanks this one? Who thanks that one? Who produced it? I think that's just me. I mean, I can't. The digital stuff is great, but
we have a great merch line too, Pat, through our website.
Cool.
A great.
We'll have to check that out so I can wear a Crashing Wayward.
They look good. They look good.
I know. I got a little Heaven Below from my man Patrick Tennyson and Nikki Stringfield Company. But no, I would do that. Well, guys, thank you. I hope you enjoyed the conversation as much as I have.
Did. Thank you, Pat.
And my door is always open, rocking with new music as I always do. Crashing Wayward Breed. Go check it out. Hit that subscribe button. Share that video with everybody. They're the real deal, and you're going to love it.
Thank you, Pat.